Good morning, Malta and Gozo, and welcome to another edition of Lovin Daily. My name is John Prozzapardi, and today I'm joined by Paula Kauki, and these are your 5 headlines for today. Chris FEARNE has doubled down on claims that PN MPs asked him to skip COVID-19 vaccine queue. Malta plans to electronically tag prisoners so they can serve their sentence from home. And a police sergeant who celebrated DAPHNE CARUANA GALIZIA'S murder has been put on medical benefits. A Maltese cystic fibrosis patient has been left without medicine despite her plea to authorities. And a food delivery courier has stalked and harassed women with X-rated video. Before we start, just want to let you know that we have an interview with Johann Grech, Malta Film Commissioner, so stick around to the end for that. Paula?
Bdew l-ewwel storja, rajna ħafna filmati jduru ta' x'ġara l-bieraħ fil-Parlament, mhux soltu li l-Parlament ikun hemm daqshekk eċitament on a normal weekday, però ħajdikom għal xiex nirreferi. Jumejn ilu il-Deputat Prim Ministru Chris FEARNE fil-Parlament għamel allegazzjoni li kien hemm xi ħadd min-naħa tal-MPs tal-Oppożizzjoni illi talbu li jaqbes il-kju jitlaqam qabel ħadd ieħor. Xi ħaġa illi d-deputati tal-Partit Nazzjonalista wara s-sessjoni tal-Parlament ingħaqdu ħarġu stqarrija sabiex jixtu li ħadd minnhom ma talab biex jingħata il-vaċċin u jaqbes il-kju. Kien f'dan il-ħin li l-bira qabel il-Parlament id-Deputat Prim Ministru ta' żewġ ismijiet lil kap tal-Oppożizzjoni Bernard Grech u qallu isma' dawn huma żewġ deputati tiegħek illi qegħdin sfaċċatament jikdbulek. Imma donnu il-kap tal-Oppożizzjoni ried xorta jeskala dis-sitwazzjoni u talab lill-Speaker tal-Kamra sabiex jagħmel ruling fuq ksur ta' privileġġ li għaliex qed jgħid li l-allegazzjonijiet ta' Chris FEARNE mhumiex veritieri. Ovvjament Chris FEARNE illi jidher li għandu il-provi bil-miktub fidu sabiex jissostanzja l-allegazzjonijiet tiegħu prova jfakkar li d-deputati nazzjonalisti li donnom għandhom xi short-term memory issue u għallhom biex kollha kemm huma jħarsu lejn il-mobile jiftħu WhatsApp u jaraw jiftakru min talbu biex jagħmillu dan il-pjaċir. Għandna l-filmat ħanarawh biex kulħadd ikun jaf x'qed nitkellem.
Sostanzja fejn bżonn dak li qed ngħid nibqa' fuq dak li qed iva kien hemm iktar minn wieħed illi talabni u m'għandix problema illi kap tal-Oppożizzjoni. Nikellmu, ngħidu minnu, ħalliħu passi.
Grazzi. Ok, x'għandi għavi Claudia Buttigieg.
Jiena nixtieq nara jekk il-Ministru li se jkunu x'qed jirreferi għalija.
Għami?
Le, għalija nnifsi. Ħanaru x'qed jgħid għalija.
Deputat Ministru, sal domanda direttament.
U mwet wieħed u saqsunu kollha kemm huma ngħidulhom u x'għalihom jgħid. All-Onorevoli.
Permettili, ho paċenzja.
F'dal każ mhux
id-Deputat Prim Ministru għoti għafhem l-istorja.
Referi għall-Onorevoli Buttigieg. Naf li l-Onorevoli Buttigieg talbitni biex tuħu l-vaċċina xi t-tifla tagħha għandha kondizzjoni partikolari.
Daqshekk, Grazie. Le, ho paċenzja.
Mhux għalih.
Inti saqsejtu għallek mux inti. Dawni Claudia Buttigieg. Fil-qosar ħafna kieġbok.
Jiena ma tlabt qatt u naħlifa li ma tlabt qatt lill-Ministru li jien nieħu il-vaċċin. Assolutament. Lanqas tlabt li toħod għat-tifla tiegħi għaliex it-tifla tiegħi kienet intitolata u nhar is-sibt ħatta, però Sur President, nhar is-sibt xi ħadd kellu rardir javviċinani biex jien noħodha u jien irrifjutajt. U ma nħallix min iniżżilni f'dal ħmieġ.
Grazzi.
Imiskom tisħu.
Grazzi.
U hemmhekk kerġajtu smajtuha tajb li ngħidu dak il-ħin għamet id-Deputat Nazzjonalista Claudia Buttigieg fejn saqsiet jekk hux qed jirreferi għaliha u qal li f'dal każ ma kienx qed jirreferi għaliha, però hawnhekk qalet li kien hemm persuna li meta marret titlaqam bintha Mater Dei offriela illi titlaqam hi wkoll dak il-ħin ma aċċettax din l-istedina li taqbes in-nies u tieħu l-vaċċin, però għaddiet l-isem ta' dan il-persuna li jaħdem Mater Dei lid-Deputat Prim Ministru sabiex isiru l-investigazzjonijiet fih dan Mater Dei.
One good thing to come out of this is the fact that authorities are now aware that there are people or there's attempts by people to skip the COVID-19 vaccine queue. So hopefully they do crack down on it, and obviously stop anyone from doing so. It's incredibly, atrocious to think that people out there are trying to take advantage of this and skip ahead of vulnerable people and frontliners who are in desperate need of the vaccine. But unfortunately, it's not just in Malta. We're seeing it all across the world, where governments and ministers and high-end officials are attempting to jump ahead of the queue and get vaccinated first. But if anything to come out of this is hopefully authorities do crack down on this and we don't see anyone who isn't meant to be receiving the vaccine when they are meant to be receiving the vaccine jump ahead of the queue. Moving on to our second story, Malta plans to electronically tag prisoners so they can serve their sentence from home. Home Affairs Minister Byron Camilleri revealed yesterday that he intends to propose such a law in Parliament, and this specific law would only apply to prisoners serving short sentences and those who aren't deemed to be a danger to society. I think a lot of people welcomed the proposal, seeing it as a way to solve a number of issues with Malta's prison system, and one being overcrowding, and the other being the fact that these prisoners who are stuck in the cell all day are just wasting their life away, and they could be doing other stuff, maybe community work or rehabilitation work, to really kind of reintegrate them into society. So the idea to obviously electronically tag people and keep them in the home does have a lot of benefits, and we're seeing it's a law that's been proposed or being implemented all across the world and has been for years. In the case in France, actually, just most recently with former Prime Minister Sarkozy, if he is going to serve his sentence of 1 year, he would in fact be doing it at home with electronic tag. There's a lot of benefits to it. I think it's definitely a much needed law to be passed. Malta's prison has been in the news as of late for a number of reasons, and maybe not for the best reasons as well, but something like this does show the progressive nature of this government in introducing better systems for our prisons and really treating prisoners differently, especially those who aren't deemed to be dangerous to society.
Dina sebat it-tfapis iktar żejjed u skrutinju ikbar mill-pubbliku fuq il-ġudikatura għaliex kif l-imħallef il-maġistrat ser jibda jażel min jagħmel is-sentenza d-dar u min jagħmel is-sentenza l-ħabs ovvjament titfapis fuq u nimmaġina illi jekk tidħol din il-liġi u meta tibda titħaddem ser ikun hemm kritika kbira fuq min mar id-dar u min baqa' l-ħabs. Nispera li d tingħaqad ukoll ma' kif qed inti sentenzi ta' community work għaliex jekk xejn dal-persuni jagħtu lura lis-soċjetà ma wieħed jistenna u jara kif ser jiżviluppaw dawn ir-riformi li huma interessanti ferm. Din nitkellmu fuq il-qorti, il-ħabs ħaneqleb għall-pulizija, s-surġent tal-pulizija Ramon Mifsud illi spiċċa popolari, for lack of a better word, fuq Facebook wara l-assassinju ta' Daphne Caruana Galizia teva fuq Facebook post jgħid li qed jifraħ u jiċċelebra illi qatlu lil Daphne Caruana Galizia. Dak is-surġent tal-pulizija ġie sospiż immedjatament u għadda taħt investigazzjoni mill-Public Service Commission. Jidher però sfortunatament li dan il-persuna ma ħax din l-investigazzjoni bis-serjetà tanti li ma telax fis-sessjonijiet li kien hemm tal-investigazzjoni tiegħu. U dal-aħħar sirna nafu illi dan is-surġent fil-fatt ħareġ kif ngħidula bil-Malti bir-relief ta' xurilu biex bekk m'għadux membru tal-korp tal-pulizija allura m'għadux soġġett għall-investigazzjoni u l-istorja spiċċat hawn.
Yeah, just to, this obviously happened over the span of 4 years now. He was initially suspended and forced to on half pay over his Facebook incident. And again, he never appeared to his tribunals to settle the dispute. In fact, Lovin Malta was informed that just last September, he had officially retired from the force and he is now on medical benefits. So definitely not the best ending. Justice hasn't really been served in this case, but that's how it goes. Moving on to our next story, a Maltese cystic fibrosis patient has been left without her medicine despite her appeals to authorities. So a person with this life-threatening disease says on Facebook that she was emotionally abused after her plea for the only treatment for cystic fibrosis was left unanswered by health authorities, by the Prime Minister, and supposedly by the Malta Community Trust Fund as well, who said that this medicine is, which is known as Trikafta, is incredibly expensive and it's not part of Malta's essential medicine list, and really no one has been able to find a solution for her. She says she's appealed to the Prime Minister, she's appealed to health authorities, yet despite all this, she's been left without access to her medication and she's felt emotionally abused by it. Really there's no insight for this story, it seems. As it stands, I imagine she's left without a medication, and it is a life-threatening life-threatening disease that affects about 20 people in Malta, and in general, it attacks the lungs, and people tend to live shorter lives. So Mandy Vella, 26-year-old, who posted the status, appealed online saying, listen, this is the situation I'm in, this is what I've had to deal with these authorities, and I still can't get my medicine.
Hija storja sfortunata għaliex ovvjament minkejja s-sistema tas-saħħa b'xejn minkejja l-mediċini fuq il-formularju dejjem ħajkun hemm pockets ta' nies illi jitħallew flakuna u mingħajr il-mediċini tagħhom li jingħataw ukoll fuq il-formularju. Ovvjament wieħed jara l-awtoritajiet tas-saħħa mhix qegħdin jaraw jistgħux jitru daw il-mediċini fuq il-formularju tagħhom, fuq il-formularju tal-gvern sabiex pazjenti bħala li huma ftit kif semma JP nas minn 20 ukoll jkunu catered for bil-mediċini b'xejn, hija sistema xejn burokratika biex il-mediċini b'xejn ovvjament daw jinvolvu fondi pubbliċi u miljuni ta' euro din il-mediċina, però wieħed jispera illi fejn jidħlu daw il-Malta Ankarari il-gvern jew assoċjazzjonijiet oħra bħal Malta Community Chest Fund jibdew ukoll iħarsu għalihom forsi biktar effiċjenza. L-aħħar storja tal-lum m'għandax taqsam xejn ma li diskutejna, però hija storja illi ġelek taħseb u tieħu daqsxejn ta' prekawzjonijiet iktar min-neċessarju. Dal-aħħar ħarġet mara tagħmel appell in-nisa l-oħra sabiex meta jordnaw l-ikel courier joqogħdu attenti x'dettalji jagħtu lill-courier. Għaliex din il-persuna spiċċat sitwazzjoni xejn pjaċevoli wara li l-bniedem milli waslilha l-ikel żamm in-number tagħha baqa' jibatilha, baqa' jsaqsiha biex ikun ħabib tagħha meta din ma risponditux baqa' jibatilha biex di tirrispondilu sakemm sa xahar wara ġifri xahar ta' messaġġi irċeviet video ta' mara rwiena fuq il-mobile tagħha u dak il-punt blokjatu għamlet complaint cyber harassment unit, kelmet il-kumpanija u suppost li ttieħdu l-passi kontra dan il-courier. Ovvjament din il-marra tuża l-istorja tagħha mhux biex xi ħadd jgħidilha miskina tant li qasbistat ridet l-identità tagħha tkun magħrufa, però tagħti pariri lil min jordna l-ikel li jisma' jekk tista' tieħ indirizz viċin id-dar tiegħek mhux id-dar tiegħek biex ma jkunx jaf fejn toqgħod, jekk il-tqajt mal-courier tieħ ċans jitlaq qabel inti tħollu rafdarek ħatkun ċerta li tela affarijiet li żgur ma jgħiddulekx moħħok meta tordna pizza fl-għaxija wara ġurnata xogħol li tittoqgħod tieħu dal-prekawzjonijiet biex ma jmurx ikun hemm xi ħadd b'intenzjonijiet ulterjuri illi jagħmilek ħajtek infejn.
Absolutely, it's definitely a shocking incident. I think it's safe to say this isn't the case for most courier drivers. When ordering food, I mean, as a woman in your experience, obviously, but definitely that's something that now that it's being made aware of, that you are giving out your personal details, you are giving out your address, and there are people out there who might take advantage of this. So really, people, I guess in the end of the day, this really should create more awareness, and like you said, she advised people put their address elsewhere or nearby and not meet the courier face to face, leave the food out there and whatnot. But definitely interesting. The courier company did say that in fact they're investigating this and this was a breach of their policy, so hopefully action will be taken there. With that being said, this brings us to the end of this segment of Lovin Daily. Make sure to stick around with an interview, Lovin Malta's interview with Johann Grech, Malta's film commissioner. But before that, here's a quick vox pop Lovin Malta did on political party stations.
And do you think Net News reports the news fairly?
Of course not.
Hi, I'm Julian Bonnici from Lovin Malta. Political parties TV stations are under the microscope after Lovin Malta kickstarted a legal challenge to declare their propaganda on TV stations unconstitutional. The problem is, they both think they're impartial. So we came to ask our MPs what they thought of one another. Do you think Net News reports the news fairly?
No, definitely not. Not always, for sure.
And what about one?
I think they are more factual than Net.
Not factual sometimes?
They are factual, yes.
Every time?
Most of the time.
Do you think Net News reports the news fairly?
I think one reports the news fairly.
Not really.
You think Net reports the news fairly?
Yes, they do. They do. And we are making sure that it happens even more often.
Do you think that Net TV reports the news fairly? Do you think that Net News reports fairly?
Do you think One News reports the news fairly?
It's a big let me tell you, because I am obviously involved in the other station. I think every medium in Malta and abroad has its own agenda.
Just a small comment. Whether you think Net News reports the news fairly?
Jena napprezza l-ħidma ta' kulħadd. Importanti li kulħadd jagħmilha tajjeb.
Thank you.
Take it as that.
And what about one? What about one?
That's how do I see it. Għandhom il-bajs tagħhom.
Do you think Net News reports the news fairly?
To be quite honest with you, I don't watch the evening news because I'm still at the office. Ma naħseb jena kif jagħmlu kull kamra tal-aħbarijiet le xi naqgħat politika jkun hemm.
And even on One News?
U tgħid xi naqra ma jkunx hemm.
Okay, so I guess some of our MPs are just going to follow the party line that we've heard over the past few weeks. I guess the funny thing really is, whenever we've caught them off guard, they've said the truth, haven't they?
Jien naħseb illi Net News mhumiex oġġettivi f'dak li jagħmlu u naħseb illi għandhom jaħdmu iktar fuq elementi kostruttivi illi iva jikkritikaw imma mod kostruttiv.
Jiena għamilt kożajt kollha ġurnalista u napprezza x-xogħol kollu li qed tagħmel int, il-kollegi kollha u l-ġurnalisti kollha.
Do you think one reports the news fairly?
I don't think it's a question of fair. I think it's a question of bias more than anything else.
You think that Net News is biased?
Same thing, yes.
In an ideal situation, it's better if not to have political party stations, but we have to arrive to that when we are 100% sure that the national television, in this case TVM, which is financed by the taxes of the Maltese people, by public finances, is truly impartial.
Jena nifhem illi Net News huwa stazzjon ta' partit politiku għal daqstant. Għandu dritt illi wassal il-messaġġ ta' dak il-partit naturalment importanti wkoll li jżomm il-bilanċ fis-sens illi dak li jirrapporta ikun wieħed fatwali. Però nifhem illi kull partit politiku għandu id-dritt li wassal il-messaġġ tiegħu. U mbagħad in-nies jevalwaw Partit Laburista jwassal il-messaġġ tiegħu, Partit Nazzjonalista jwassal il-messaġġ tiegħu bil-medja tiegħu, u mbagħad in-nies jagħmlu l-evalwazzjoni tagħhom.
So it seems that politicians on both sides, the opposition and in government, believe in their right to have political party stations, even though it's a clear breach in the constitution.
Naħseb li għandu jkun kritika fuq il-gvern ġeku għal tal-oppożizzjoni, imma għandu jkun iktar kostruttiv.
And what about One News is reporting? Do you think that's fair and accurate?
Nasib ukoll hemmhekk għandna nuru iktar oġġettività f'dak li nagħmlu, nasib li hemm programmi li nammira f'One News fis-sens li huma iktar ibbilanċjati fis-sens li juru l-istampa kif inhi u nasib li għandna nkomplu nagħmlu fuq dik id-direzzjoni.
Do you think One News reports the news fairly?
I'm not going to answer that. I think you know the answer.
And what about Net?
I think you know that too.
Thank you.
I think it's fair, the way that they report the news.
Well, that's a trick question. You're asking an opposition member about One News. Well, my answer is going to be no, I don't think it's fair.
And do you think that...
But I'm probably biased, eh?
To find out more about our constitutional case, follow us on crashaturi.com and of course on Lovin Malta for some more Vox Pops.
Welcome back to Lovin Daily. I'm now joined by Johann Grech, Malta's Film Commissioner. Johann, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for inviting me.
It's been a crazy year with the pandemic, especially for the local film industry. How has the pandemic affected the film industry, and how has the film industry adapted to everything that's going on?
We kept, as people know, we kept the industry working. We kept creating jobs and securing those jobs. It wasn't easy. But we work closely with Prof. Charmaine Gauci, Superintendent of Public Health, where we developed strong and robust protocols to secure film productions coming to our shores and keep securing our local crew to keep working from one production to the other. It wasn't easy because the industry had to adapt, as you said. We learned how to handle. For example, there were productions where we had to take 3 swab tests every 3 days. So the productions today, they have a specific unit in terms of COVID protocols, in terms how to handle the pandemic. We estimate that the COVID has increased cost on the production between 15 to 30%. So today, we learned how to handle though priority of public health remains first,
Yep.
we wanted to keep securing our jobs.
Absolutely, and it seems that the film industry has managed to adapt, obviously, with the bringing of international productions to our shores. But what are some of the biggest challenges that the local film industry faces, both in the pandemic and just in general?
We want to keep competitive. We have to remain competitive, and we have to remain renewing ourselves to build up a self-sustained industry. We have also to increase our crew base because the demand is increasing. Mm-hmm. More films are coming to Malta, and we are very optimistic about that. So we want to strengthen and increase the crew base so that we meet that demand. In fact, the Commission will be launching in the coming weeks listening sessions with our crew to understand more clearly how we are handling, how we are servicing international productions in Malta, and how we can be better off in terms of our service to ensure that we keep responding to the needs of the industry.
So it seems like there definitely is, from what you're saying, a demand for film companies and filmmakers to come to Malta. Is there a supply for it though? Is there enough crew and enough local talent to facilitate this?
Our estimate is that from one production to another, there are around 1,000 people working directly.
Maltese people.
Local. Our top priority is to ensure that more local people join the industry, and so that we will keep enhancing our product. Because Malta is known for the locations, but it's also known for the water tanks, which are well known globally. But we are also known for our talent and our crew base, which have been, throughout the years, have been servicing big productions, which have chosen Malta for their locations.
And how can Malta position itself globally as the go-to destination for these international productions?
It's by building sound stages. It's by building sound stages, we are securing the industry in Malta. We have to keep working to self-sustain and have a strong industry where more jobs come in. We keep investing in our people, in our crew. We keep emphasizing on the level of education and training. So our product will become world-class. By building world-class sound stages, Malta will keep strengthening its proposition to global filmmakers.
Absolutely, and we've already seen that with, last year we saw Jurassic World come to Malta. We saw most recently Foundation as well, established a relationship here with the country and started filming here. Das Boot as well, I believe in its third season filming in Malta. So there have been a number...
By building the sound stages, forget the structures. We are strengthening, we are securing the industry.
For people who don't know, what is a sound stage?
Sound stage is a big hangar where productions can build interior sets. So they will increase the days of shoot in Malta. There will be more jobs created in the industry. By building up the sound stages, we are giving guarantee to jobs. It will not become an occasional job opportunity working in the film industry, but it will become a career. A career like any other industries.
So is it viable for an aspiring filmmaker in Malta, or aspiring someone who works in the film industry, to have a career in the Malta film industry here? Are we at that stage where someone can have a full-time career, or do we need these sound stages? Does more need to be done to facilitate that?
By implementing the master plan of the Malta Film Studios, and by building the sound stages, and by implementing our strategy. I have regular meetings with my Minister Clayton Bartolo, he is really hands-on on the film industry. We want to ensure that our vision, our objective of making Malta a world-class film industry, creating a world-class film industry in Malta, is achieved. To ensure that it is, we are building better a self-sustained industry. To ensure that we get more jobs here, and to ensure that we get more films here produced in Malta.
So you mentioned the master plan for the film industry. I imagine obviously the sound stage is at the center of that master plan. Can you maybe explain a bit more what this master plan entails?
Yeah, it's about, we are regenerating the area at Kalkara at the Malta Film Studios. The last investment done by government at the Malta Film Studios was 40 years ago. It couldn't be. We are now building up new facilities. The government is investing more money into the film studios. By saying investing, we are not investing, forget structures. We're not investing in structures. We are investing in our people, in the next generations to come, to ensure, once again, that Malta keeps playing its role as a major player on the world stage for filmmakers. By saying investing, we want to ensure that we are creating filmmakers to be the best, and we compete, and we do compete globally. And we want to keep competing globally to ensure that our product, Malta, keeps coming up front to filmmakers choosing Malta.
Absolutely. So we talked about, Malta, you mentioned Malta competing globally. In fact, most recently we had an independent film, Lutsu, that was filmed here that made it all the way to Sundance.
We are proud of that.
And it won an award in Sundance, and it's the first Maltese film to premiere at Sundance. Some criticism people might have is what is being done more to facilitate and to encourage local producers, not international producers, but the local industry to perhaps get more funding, to encourage more local talent, as we've seen with Lutsu, to make films and make high quality films. That's what we're producing here, right? We have the talent here to produce high quality films. What's being done for local producers?
In fact, Lutsu is one of the filmmaker of Lutsu benefited from Screen Malta funding. And we keep investing in the local indigenous industry through Screen Malta. The government has increased the budget of Screen Malta to 600,000. Well, it's not good enough. I mean, it's not enough. But we want to strengthen the local indigenous industry. In fact, as I said, we want to create filmmakers. We want to invest in filmmakers and be the best. So Lutsu was one of the productions which have benefited from the Screen Malta. We keep increasing awareness about more training, more education, to ensure that the local indigenous industry keeps on moving forward.
So just to wrap up as a final question, what is, in your tenure as Malta Film Commissioner, what is your overall vision for the local film industry?
We want to create a world-class film industry in Malta, and we will not stop dreaming to achieve that.
Johann, thank you so much for joining us today, and everyone, thank you for joining in and watching this interview. To all of you out there, have a day full of lovin'.